Welcome to Marketing Demystified, the podcast that connects the dots for business leaders to drive revenue through effective marketing strategy. We chat with marketing experts on different topics that will help you ramp up your revenue. We stream live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platforms. Marketing Demystified, the podcast, is presented to you by GrowGetter, your partner in growth marketing. And here's today's episode.
Hello, everyone. Are you ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered with actionable tips to transform your marketing game? You're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing Demystified. I'm your host, Jenn Mancusi, CEO and co-founder of GrowGetter, your growth marketing partner. The Content Marketing Institute released its new salary report just this morning, hot off the presses. And as part of that, it explores AI's role in content marketing, which is an important topic to cover here for sure. So I'm thrilled to be joined by Lisa Murton Beets, Research Director at the Content Marketing Institute, to talk about the report. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me today.
So excited to have you on the show. Let's jump right into this report because there was so much good data and insight that came out of it. And maybe you could just give a little bit of background on the report itself and how it came about and what you're trying to discover.
Oh, sure. So this is our second annual Content Marketing Careers and Salary Survey. Last year was our inaugural year with this research, so super excited to repeat it again this year. We went out to 1,068 global content marketers to ask them questions about their salary, how they're dealing with new developments in AI, how they feel about their career paths, whether or not they're feeling engaged at work. So quite a variety of questions on the survey. Lots of interesting data came back.
I'm sure. It's certainly an interesting time to be a marketer and a content marketer. So I'm excited to dive into some of the data. So let's start actually with the AI topic. That is such a hot topic right now, and I was thrilled to be able to see some of the insight that came out of that in this report. And we know that AI is just dominating headlines. So how common is the use of AI in content marketing from the perspective of the Content Marketing Institute?
Well, Jen, it's actually the use of AI is quite common. As we found, 3 out of 4 marketers that we surveyed are using generative AI tools of some sort. Only 25% said that they aren't. And that's another subject we'll delve into with our upcoming annual content marketing research, kind of asking why not? Early data there indicates that it's mostly due to accuracy concerns, although 19% said that they are under corporate mandates not to use AI yet. But back to the question, 3 out of 4 already using it. So I think that's substantial.
Wow. I mean, that's massive. I mean, not unsurprising. I think everybody's like trying to dabble with it. What I'm really curious about is the corporate mandate not to use it. I think that's really interesting. And it brings up a more philosophical question of like, is that a right or wrong thing? I've heard of this happening at universities with students where there's a mandate not to use AI for certain types of projects or, certain types of work. And I always sort of wonder in the back of my mind, like, well, should we be teaching children or teaching our employees how to use it properly or mandating them not to use it? Like, what do you think?
Well, it's there. I mean, it's there. I think one of the most important things organizations can do right now is attempt to get those guardrails up. I mean, there needs to be some type of guidelines because AI is there. It's not going away.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting, concept is like put some guidelines in place of what is it and what is it not, rather than just the sort of blanket, we're not allowed to use it here.
Yes.
We could see how that develops. According to the report, what are some of the common ways that AI is being used by content marketers right now?
Okay, so Nearly half of the respondents told us they're using it to brainstorm new topics, research headlines and keywords. As you'll see there, 1 out of 3 are using it to actually write drafts, which are those drafts quality drafts? We don't know, but 1 out of 3 are using the AI tools to write drafts. Then we have proofreading, outline assignments, and there's that 25% that said they don't use AI tools. We also had a fill-in response with that question, and we heard from marketers who are using AI for things like generating email sublines, writing email copy, using AI to condense long form content into short form content, to generate social media posts. So all kinds of uses going on out there.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think the question about how quality is the draft content is really, that's a big question for me too. And I know for us, our approach to content, we do use AI for different reasons, but not to draft. That is the one thing we really don't do, because that starting point sort of needs to be human. Now, like, editing for tone or coming up with catchy headlines or, generating ideas, that's another story for sure. And there's lots of really, really interesting ways that you can use it. But and actually, we had an episode a couple of weeks ago with Andy Crestodina, who walked through some of the ways that you can, like, the right prompts to use and how to have AI analyze your content or edit it in different ways. So that was really interesting. Listen back to that episode, everybody, if you haven't heard that one yet. But the drafting content is a really interesting one, because any content I've seen generated by any sort of AI, it's very obvious unless it's heavily edited by a human.
Yes. And we go back to those accuracy concerns. It's how accurate are the facts that are being churned out. You need a human to fact check.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly some of these AI use cases, because of accuracy or because of other reasons, maybe can actually make the content worse. So we actually have a quick comment from author Dr. Gleb Sipersky on the topic from yesterday's episode of the Business Storytelling Show. Let's take a quick look at that clip.
That sort of lower tier, I can say bottom feeders, hopefully people won't be too offended if they're just using it to spew out a whole bunch of articles that are generated by AI without actually improving them and making them good quality articles.
Yeah, I think that's, there definitely is like a bit of a volume play, is, generate as much content as possible. Let's not worry about the quality, which doesn't actually serve any purpose, whether it be thought leadership or you're trying to drive search and optimize your site. Like, that high volume of maybe poor quality content isn't actually going to help very much.
Right, exactly. What we don't need is more subpar content out in the universe.
Exactly. So, did this topic come up at all in the in the study about these worries of, this volume of content and low quality content? Like, how did that come out in the research?
We didn't ask any specific questions on that topic, but we did see it mentioned in the fill-in responses. There were marketers who did express concerns about just this sea of regurgitated content coming out onto the scene. So it is a valid concern.
Yeah. I think it also brings up the conversation that I've seen happen quite a bit on social media about whether or not to disclose whether content is AI generated or not, and what percentage of it is AI generated, which there's no real regulations in place and there's no guidelines in place yet. It's still so new for people to disclose that. And I think that's a concern for, I did see this in the report, a comment about people being worried about their, maybe describing as dishonest content marketers who are using only AI to take away opportunities from more skilled content marketers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. What are content marketers? Yeah, let's talk about their job security and sort of their how they're feeling and their. You mentioned engagement in their roles. Like, are they worried? Are they hopeful for the future? How is AI changing how content marketers feel about their jobs today?
Well, they did express fear. I mean, 62% said that they feared less respect for skilled writers and editors. 55% fear that writing and editing will be viewed as commodities. And then nearly half fear lower compensation for writers and editors and fewer content marketing jobs. So fears are real. They're out there.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, especially, any technology. This is not a new concept, right?
Yes.
AI that in its current form might be new in how accessible it is to everyday users, but the concept of technology making your job too efficient that it actually threatens your job is not a new concept. I mean, certainly in our industry and market research and insights, any DIY survey tool, or I mean, put DIY in front of anything and everyone's afraid that they're going to lose their jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that doesn't really surprise me very much, but I'll be interested to hear your take on sort of like maybe it's related to how you're using the AI or how you're not using the AI to overcome that fear. Like, what do you think is the way to ensure job security in this world where AI exists and isn't going anywhere?
I think it's important that marketers start to upskill now, even if they're on their own. Hopefully, some training is coming down through the organization, but if not, anyone can get started checking out the tools, seeing what's out there, seeing what's available, what is going to help them do their job faster and more efficiently. Not everything is going to make sense. So it's important to get out there and start experimenting.
Oh, I totally agree. I think sometimes I guess it depends on your learning style, really. But for me personally, like getting in there and playing with it is like how I get better. And there's so many great ideas out there. So many people are sharing like, hey, try this, prompt it like this, try this. And anytime I do that, I learn something about the tool. And so I think that's a great tip to upskill now. The way you phrase that, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and I think marketers are cognizant of that. I mean, when we asked them what skills they were interested in sharpening right now, their technology skills came in up on top. So they know.
For sure. And since the kind of evolution of this particular type of generative AI technology is fairly new for a lot of people, like it's only going to get better. We have one more clip. Let's share that.
We're looking at AI, it's the worst it will ever be. In the future, it will become increasingly better. And as it becomes better, humanity will inevitably delegate more and more control.
Yeah. I think that I love that clip from that episode from Business Storytelling show yesterday, that the concept that this is the worst that AI is going to be. Really interesting to me that it's just going to get smarter and better and have more potential. So goes back to your point, like to upskill now, because as it gets more sophisticated and there's more potential, you're going to fall further and further behind.
I know. And I love what he said too about how, humanity's kind of at the wheel. I mean, as AI evolves, we need to become more sophisticated in how we interact with it. So we will grow along with it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any tips that you can share for staying ahead of the AI trend and riding that wave of new technology?
Like I said, I think it's just so important to get a lay of the land, see what's out there, see what's available. Like you said, just start tinkering. I mean, you can't really sit back and wait for training to trickle down throughout your organization. If it's already there, great. Take advantage of whatever is being offered, but follow blogs, follow thought leaders, stay up to date with information coming out of the Marketing AI Institute and Content Marketing Institute and other organizations, and stay on top of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many great thought leaders out there that are giving tips. It's kind of crazy, actually. I see these people who I deem already to be like so expert in using these tools. And I'm like, how did you pick up on this so quickly? But people like Andy Christadina, there's like so many others. We should probably, put out some recommendations of who to follow, but there's so much great blog content and educational content about that is really inspiring new ideas. And I think the tinkering is a great way to explore it, how to use it.
Yes.
There's also, we just came out with a list of a bunch of different AI tools for marketers that should be trialing out. So we'll share that along with this episode in the show notes. But one thing that I love about pretty much all of these AI-based technologies is that there's some sort of free trial. So we're not just talking today about ChatGPT or Bard or some of these freemium type tools, but there's so many free trials out there. There's so many free tools out there. I was just messing with one yesterday called Opus, which you put in your video content and it breaks it up into 25 little clips that you can use and share. And, just diving in and exploring things that you think are interesting and new and different is a great way to up level those skills and also just know what's out there and what the possibilities are.
Yes. It seems like there are more and more tools coming out all the time. So
I know the MarTech stack is going to get even.
I know.
Right? So anybody who's feeling behind on technology, like now is the time to get on top of it. And just speaking to that fear about the job security, I think I heard somebody say this in a different context, but that this generative AI is not going to take jobs away from content marketers, but people using it are going to take jobs away from content marketers. So really, like, it's only going to benefit you in your role if you're feeling fearful or you're feeling unsure, to really maximize all of the technology that's available to you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this report with us today. We'll share out the report as well. Guys, take a look. There's so much good content in there, really interesting stuff from the Content Marketing Institute. So thank you, Lisa, for coming on and talking about it today.
Thank you for having me. It was great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. I'll be back with another episode very soon. So